Jay Leno owns a motorcycle worth $15 million, and that's not even the most interesting part of this story. While most know him for his massive car collection, Leno's motorcycle obsession runs even deeper. From a $25 basket case Honda he restored himself to the most expensive motorcycle ever sold, his two-wheeled collection tells an incredible story of engineering evolution. Today, we're revealing his top 10 most insane motorcycles, including one that was literally smuggled out of Nazi Germany. And wait until you see number 3. It's so rare that even museums don't know it exists. Number 15, 1969 Honda CB750 Sandcast. Let's start with what Jay calls the motorcycle that changed everything. But this isn't just any CB750, it's one of the ultra-rare Sandcast models. While most people think Honda mass-produced everything, the first 7,414 CB750s had engines cast in sand molds because Honda wasn't sure the bike would sell. Talk about a billion-dollar gamble. Leno's Sandcast has an incredible story. He found it abandoned in a Los Angeles garage, covered in newspapers from 1970. The previous owner had parked it after a minor accident and simply forgotten about it. The kicker? Those newspapers preserved the original candy blue-green paint perfectly. Even the original toolkit was still wrapped in its plastic bag. The technical specs were revolutionary for 1969. A 736cc inline-4 engine producing 67 horsepower, front disc brake, and electric starter. But here's what makes this bike special. It's number 478 off the production line, making it one of the earliest CB750s in existence. The engine cases have slight imperfections from the sandcasting process, something Honda's engineers actually apologized for when they saw the bike at a show in Japan. Number 14, 1938 Zundap K800. Now here's something you don't see every day. A motorcycle built for Hitler's Wehrmacht that ended up saving Jewish lives. This Zundap's horizontal opposed four-cylinder engine and shaft drive might look like a BMW, but there's a crucial difference. This bike could run on potato alcohol when gasoline wasn't available. The 797cc engine produces 26 horsepower through a 4-speed gearbox, advanced for its time. But what makes this bike truly special is its wartime history. The previous owner's father, a German resistance member, used this exact motorcycle to smuggle Jewish families across the Swiss border. The false bottom of its sidecar could hide 2 children. Leno spent 5 years tracking down the bike after hearing its story from a Holocaust survivor at a car show. When he finally found it in a barn in Bavaria, the bike still contained hidden documents from its resistance days. The restoration preserved these historical artifacts, creating secret compartments in the new seat to house them. Number 13, 1952 Vincent Black Lightning John Edgar Special. If you think $15 million for the AGS Porcupine is expensive, consider this. Leno turned down a $27 million offer for this Vincent. Why? Because it's the actual bike that Raleigh Free rode to set the American speed record at Bonneville, wearing nothing but a bathing suit and a smile. The specifications are mind-bending even by today's standards. The 998cc V-twin engine was pushed to 70 horsepower, when a typical family car made about 100. Everything was magnesium or aluminum. Even the wheel rims were specially made by Rolls-Royce's aircraft division. The result? It hit 150.313 miles per hour in 1948, a record that stood for 20 years. The bike came to Leno through John Edgar's son, who wanted it preserved rather than hidden away in a private collection. During restoration, they found Raleigh Free's Lucky Penny still taped inside the fuel tank. Leno kept it there, along with adding his own Lucky Penny beside it. Number 12, 1931 Indian 4. Most people think Henderson was the only American manufacturer of 4-cylinder motorcycles, but this Indian proves otherwise. What makes this bike special isn't just its engineering. It's the fact that it was originally owned by Steve McQueen, though he never got to restore it. The 1265cc inline-4 engine produces 30 horsepower, but it's how it makes that power that's interesting. The engine is essentially a car engine turned sideways, with 4 separate exhaust pipes that create what the Indian called the Symphony of Power. Each cylinder head is actually interchangeable with a Ford Model A clever bit of parts bin engineering. Leno bought this bike at McQueen's estate sale in 1984, still in pieces. In McQueen's garage, they found his handwritten restoration notes and a box of parts he'd collected. The restoration followed these notes exactly, even tracking down the same type of paint McQueen had ordered but had never used. Today, it's probably the most valuable Indian 4 in existence, though Leno insists it's not for sale at any price. Number 11. 1975 Ducati 750 SS green frame. This is the bike Paul Smart rode to victory at Imola in 1972, changing Ducati's fortunes forever. But here's the twist. This isn't just any 750 SS. It's one of the 401 green frame models, and its story is absolutely incredible. The 748cc L twin engine produces 73 horsepower, revolutionary for its time. Every part was hand-assembled by Ducati's race department, and the frames were painted a distinctive mint green, hence the nickname. But this particular bike was special. It was the development mule for Ducati's first electronic ignition system. Leno discovered this bike in pieces in a Los Angeles garage, where it had been abandoned after a failed customization attempt in 1978. The original owner had no idea what he had. During restoration, they found test notes from Ducati's engineering department still tucked in the tool roll. Even more amazingly, they tracked down one of the original mechanics who built it, who flew from Bologna to help with the restoration. Today, it's one of only 100 known surviving green frames, and arguably the most historically significant. Number 10. 1927 Henderson Deluxe. Here's a motorcycle that literally helped build Hollywood. Before Jay owned this Henderson, it belonged to a cameraman who filmed some of the first chase scenes in silent movies. The bike's smooth, inline-4 engine made it perfect for filming. Other motorcycles of the era shook too much for usable footage. The 1301cc engine produces 28 horsepower, which doesn't sound impressive until you learn about its party trick. This Henderson could cruise at 100 miles per hour while using just a quarter of its throttle. The engine was so smooth that riders could balance a nickel on the cylinder head at idle, a party trick Leno still demonstrates at shows. This restoration story is pure Hollywood. Leno found this bike being used as a window display in an antique shop in Burbank, just blocks from NBC Studios. The owner had no idea what it was, thinking it was just an old Harley. The original sidecar, which held movie cameras worth more than the bike itself, turned up years later at a prop auction. Even better, the camera mount still had the original operator's handwritten filming notes from 1927. Number 9. 1925 BMW R32. Now, here's where things get really interesting. The R32 was BMW's first motorcycle, and this one has a secret. During World War II, a Jewish BMW engineer hid this particular bike behind a false wall in Munich. He survived the war and immigrated to America, but never returned to claim it. 50 years later, Leno received a mysterious letter from the engineer's grandson. The R32's 486cc boxer twin engine only produces 8.5 horsepower, but it established a design philosophy BMW still uses today. The shaft drive, exposed drive shaft, and horizontally opposed cylinders became BMW trademarks. Leno's version is one of only 3,090 built, and one of just 12 known to exist with all original parts. The restoration story is just as fascinating as its history. When Leno acquired it, he insisted on using period-correct materials, even tracking down original German leather for the seat from a company that's been making motorcycle seats since 1873. The paint? It's mixed using the exact formula BMW used in 1925, including materials that would be illegal to use today. Number 8. 1939 Crocker Big Tank. If you think $15 million for a motorcycle is crazy, consider this. Al Crocker only built 72 motorcycles before World War II ended his dream. This big tank model is one of only 30 surviving examples, and it tells an amazing story of American innovation. Each Crocker was essentially hand-built to order in Los Angeles. The 1000cc V-twin engine could be customized to the buyer's specifications. Some produced over 110 horsepower, absolutely insane for 1939. Crocker was so confident in his bikes that he offered to refund any owner who got beaten by a Harley-Davidson. He never had to pay up. Leno's Crocker has an output of 93 horsepower, more than most cars of the era. The restoration took 7 years and cost over $400,000. Why so expensive? Every part had to be hand fabricated since no spares exist. The gas tank alone required 600 hours to reconstruct using original techniques. Today, this bike is worth over $1.2 million, but its historical value is priceless. Number 7. 1955 Vincent Black Shadow. The world's first superbike. That's what they called the Vincent Black Shadow. But Jay's version has a twist. This particular bike was owned by Hunter S. Thompson, who wrote about it in Song of the Sausage Creature. Thompson claimed it was too fast to live and too young to die, and he wasn't exaggerating. The specs were otherworldly for 1955, a 998cc V-twin producing 55 horsepower, capable of 125 miles per hour when most bikes struggled to hit 100. Each engine was bench tested for 100 hours before installation. Imagine that kind of quality control today. The black engine wasn't just for show, it was a special high-temperature coating developed for RAF night fighters during World War II. Leno found this bike in pieces, literally scattered across 3 states. The engine was in Colorado, the frame in Utah, and the original instruments turned up at a swap meet in California. The restoration took 4 years, with Leno insisting on keeping Hunter's modifications, including a special bracket for holding his, let's say, recreational supplies. Number 6. 1918 Harley-Davidson 18J. Now, here's a bike that survived World War I. Only one of 86 military-spec 18Js known to exist, this Harley has bullets still embedded in its frame from its service in France. But that's not even the craziest part of this story. The 989cc F-head V-twin engine produces just 15 horsepower, but it's what this engine represented that matters. Every single part was machined to be interchangeable with other 18Js, a revolutionary concept in 1918. The olive drab paint contains actual mud from the French battlefields, preserved under clear coat during restoration. Leno discovered this bike in a barn in Wisconsin, where it had been stored since 1920. The original owner, a World War I veteran, left instructions that it should never be sold, only given to someone who would preserve its history. His family chose Leno after seeing how he maintained his other military vehicles. The restoration used only original 1918 parts, some sourced from archaeological digs at former military bases. Number 5. 1949 Vincent Black Lightning. If the Black Shadow was fast, the Black Lightning was supernatural. Only 33 were ever built, and Leno's is the actual bike that set the American speed record of 150.313 miles per hour at Bonneville in 1949. It's the motorcycle equivalent of owning a lunar landing module. The engineering is mind-bending. A 998cc V-twin engine producing 70 horsepower and a bike weighing just 380 pounds. Everything non-essential was eliminated. The frame is part of the fuel tank, the oil tank is part of the frame, and every nut and bolt was drilled for weight reduction. Modern superbikes still struggle to match its power-to-weight ratio. The restoration story borders on mythology. The bike was found in pieces in an Australian shipping container, missing its engine. Through a series of coincidences that almost seem scripted, Leno tracked down the original engine. It was being used as a coffee table by a retired racer in New Zealand. The reunion of engine and frame was covered by motorcycle magazines worldwide. Number 4. 1902 Indian Camelback. Before we reveal the top 3, let's talk about what might be the most historically significant American motorcycle ever built. This 1902 Indian Camelback isn't just rare, it's one of the first motorcycles ever built in America. The story of how Leno found it is almost unbelievable. The bike was discovered during a renovation of an old bicycle shop in Massachusetts, hidden inside a wall. Apparently, the original owner stashed it there during Prohibition to hide his delivery vehicle. What makes this Indian special isn't its 1.75 horsepower single-cylinder engine. It's the fact that it's completely original, down to its leather belt drive and bicycle pedals. The restoration? There wasn't one. Leno made the controversial decision to preserve it exactly as found, including its century-old dust. This isn't just a motorcycle, he says, it's a time capsule. Even the original tire pump is still wrapped to the frame. When Indian motorcycles historians examined it, they discovered it was built on a Thursday in June of 1902. They know because the assembly workers' initials are still visible on the engine case. Number 3. 1929 Bruff Superior SS100 Alpine Grand Sports. Now we're entering the realm of motorcycling royalty. Bruff Superior was known as the Rolls-Royce of motorcycles, and each bike came with a guarantee that it had been tested at 100 miles per hour. But this particular SS100 has a secret that wasn't discovered until 2018. The 998cc Jap V-twin engine produces 45 horsepower, impressive for 1929, but that's not what makes it special. This bike was custom ordered by Lawrence of Arabia himself, though he never took delivery. T.E. Lawrence died before the bike was completed, and it was placed in storage, where it remained untouched for 89 years. When Leno acquired it, his team found Lawrence's original specification sheet still tucked in the tool compartment. The requests were fascinating: extra-large fuel tank for desert crossing, modified gearing for sand riding, and a special compass mount on the handlebars. The bike cost 180 pounds in 1929, more than a house in London at the time. Today, it's valued at over $4 million. Number 2. 1894 Hildebrand and Wolfmuller. Here it is, the world's first production motorcycle. Only 2,000 were built, and only 4 complete examples survive. This isn't just a piece of motorcycle history, it's the beginning of the entire industry. But the story of how Leno acquired it reads like a spy thriller. The bike was discovered in a Soviet military museum after the fall of the Berlin Wall. It had been confiscated by the Red Army in 1945 and forgotten. When Leno learned about it, he had to negotiate with 5 different governments just to get permission to export it. The price? He's never revealed it, but experts estimate north of $3.5 million. The engineering is fascinating and slightly terrifying. The 1488cc water-cooled twin-cylinder engine uses the rear wheel as its flywheel. There's no clutch, no transmission, and the only way to start it is to run alongside and jump on. The rubber bands you see aren't decorative. They're actually return springs for the pistons. Top speed? About 28 miles per hour, assuming you're brave enough to try. And at number 1, the 1949 E90 AJS Porcupine. Finally, we've reached the Holy Grail, the most expensive motorcycle in the world. Only 4 E90 AJS Porcupines were ever built, and this is the actual bike that won the 1949 World Championship, the first year of Grand Prix motorcycle racing. But that's just the beginning of its story. The 500cc twin-cylinder engine produces 55 horsepower at 7,600 RPMs. Numbers that seem modest until you realize this bike weighs just 285 pounds. It got its nickname from the distinctive cooling fins that bristle from its cylinder head like porcupine quills. The engineering was so advanced that some of its features, like the chain-driven double overhead cams, didn't become common on production bikes until the 1970s. When Leno acquired it in 2011 for $15 million, many thought he was crazy. But here's what makes it priceless. This bike represents the moment motorcycle racing became a science rather than just a sport. Every modern racing motorcycle, from MotoGP to superbikes, can trace its DNA back to this machine. The restoration took 3 years and required creating entirely new manufacturing processes just to reproduce certain parts. The original blueprints had been lost in a factory fire in 1952, so Leno's team had to reverse engineer components using period photographs and X-rays. The paint alone took 6 months to perfect. It's not just green, it's the exact shade of British racing green used by AJS in 1949. From a humble Indian found in a wall to the most expensive motorcycle ever sold, Jay Leno's two-wheeled collection is more than just machines. It's a preserved timeline of motorcycle evolution. Each bike tells a story of innovation, competition, and the human drive to go faster than ever before. Remember, as Jay always says, the best bike in the world is the one you're riding right now. Well, unless of course you're riding a $15 million AJS Porcupine, then it really is the best bike in the world.